Man, thank goodness for these go jacks.
That's good right about there.
All right. Hey, welcome to the Horsepower Shop and Phase 3 of our Super Shoebox build-up. What we're doing here is building a one-of-a-kind Tri-5 Chevy from the frame up. Oh, and don't sweat it if you've missed any of this project so far. Here's a quick sketch of our ultimate destination and a look at where we've been so far. We started with an Art Morrison new GT Sport Classic chassis designed with 21st century technology for the shoebox. The original 55 frame came up way short in the area of torsional stiffness. Then we added a Curry Track 9 rear end, a strange coilover suspension system, wheelwood brakes with 13-inch rotors and 6-piston calipers up front, and for power, we dropped in a GM Performance Parts 502 big block backed by a TCI 4L80E tranny. The exhaust is a 2.5-inch Blowmaster system with hush power mufflers. Then we made it a true roller with Nostalgia GT wheels on BFG rubber. Last time we added a front runner accessory drive that comes with a water pump, alternator, and mini compressor for the AC. We fabbed up our Pure Choice brake lines and ran them along with our new fuel lines. Then we dropped the fiberglass body onto the frame using a special 2-motor hoist that John Bohannon made just for this kind of heavy lifting.
Today we're going to finish mounting the doors, which, like the body, were both fabricated at Bohannon Concepts. Now this is the passenger side inner door skin we're going to be using. Now back in '55, power windows were a pricey option and they added a lot of weight to the car. So this kit we got from Specialty Power Windows uses a lighter, more compact motor and regulator. And the vintage glass is solid tempered, so it's pretty much shatterproof. And it's one piece, so we don't have to use a vent window. This is a lot easier than it looks. First, lay the felt strip into place, then determine the length of your runner. And simply glue it into place. We recommend epoxy or even Bondo. Next, we can slide the window into place and bring it down to its lowest point. Then line the regulator up with the base plate and mark it just above the window 3/8 of an inch. With the unit bolted to the door and the window in place, raise it to its highest position before tightening it down. Of course, the kit does come with the window buttons, but we're not going to install those until we're ready for our wiring. Now all we need to do is glue on our outer door skin and cut our hole in our window.
All right, got that last bolt?
Yep, it started. Now installing a door is a lot like installing a hood. First, bolt it up loosely for a test fit. Oh, and here's a tip. Don't forget your shims. I'm installing several in between the hinge and the door to get a precise fit.
Oh, great job. Perfect fit. Now, what do you say we take care of the missing link to our disc brake setup, which is this master cylinder booster assembly we got from Kugel Components. And of course, as always, we're going to mount it right here on the firewall, right? Wrong. Check this out. John Bohannon came up with this removable dash top, and well, that's going to make installation of these components and others a whole lot easier. The assembly mounts on a couple of brackets located inside the firewall and here on the dash. While we're at it, let's bolt up this windshield wiper motor that we also got from Specialty Power Windows. It bolts up right here on this bracket. One thing you rarely saw on original 55 was air conditioning. Pretty pricey option back in 55, but we're going to make sure this new version stays cool and comfortable. In fact, it's going to get one of these Super Gen 2 systems from Vintage Air that cools, heats, and defrosts. Now, the kit includes, among other things, this evaporator blower subcase, Gen 2 wiring kit, heater control valve, of course, hoses, and up front, the condenser. The box bolts up under the dash here. The rest of the system gets installed after we finish the interior work.
Anytime you install one of these aftermarket AC kits, which usually takes about a day or less, you need to decide where you're going to mount your air vents and your control panel. Now you'll see where ours get planted on our 55 in a few weeks.
While the front clip is still off the car, now's a good time to install a steering column to work with our AGR rack and pinion. Now, this one came from Flaming River. It's a 35-inch piece with tilt, Check this out. For safety, it's designed to collapse on impact. While sliding the column into place, we can attach it to the steering shaft. Then we can secure the column to the dash and the firewall mounts.
That was the easy part. Now, of course, we still need to wire it up, but we'll finish that when we take care of our main harness. Now, when we get back from the break, we're going to show you how our front end bolts up to the Super Shoebox. Stay tuned.
Well, we are back with more of our 55 SS buildup, and I tell you, I'm dying to see the shoebox with the front end bolted up. But, you know, first we need to finish up our fuel delivery system by bolting up this stainless steel tank we got from Classic Chevy. Now, this one holds 18 gallons of fuel, and it's designed for all shoeboxes that have been fitted with late model fuel injection like ours. Of course, it comes with an intake pump and these stainless straps that should make installation pretty easy. With the rear of the car supported on jack stands, we first have to find a good mounting location and make some marks. Then, after drilling 4 holes, we can bolt the tank up with the straps. Finally, we can connect the fuel lines from the tank to the ones on the chassis.
With that installed, all we need to do is wire up our internal pump, but we'll take care of that when we install our main harness. Now it's time to put a face on this project, and we'll do that with this 4-piece fiberglass front end from Bohannon Concepts. Now it includes this lightweight fiberglass hood, inner fender wells, and this 1-piece front clip. And to dress everything up, we got our reproduction grille, end moldings, headlight bezels, and parking lamps from Classic Chevy. Inside the fenders are these custom headlight housings Bohannon made using an original 55 as a pattern.
Earlier, I showed you the vintage air kit we're going to use to cool the shoebox down, but in reality, we ordered ours without that condenser, and here's why. We're also going to use this trick radiator assembly that Matson makes, and as you can see, it comes with a radiator and condenser welded together. It also features some prefab lines that run from the condenser up to the compressor. Now, also part of the assembly is this pair of 12-inch electric fans mounted on a shroud. Now, to make this assembly all work, though, we had to get one more thing, and it's this tubular radiator support that Classic Chevy offers. We also got ours with a pair of these stainless steel louvered filler panels. First, we can install the core support on the frame with a rubber grommet and a pair of bolts.
Then the fan assembly gets bolted to the support.
Finally, the radiator attaches to the filler panels on the core support. Okay, I think the idea is to tilt it a little bit here.
Yep, get those frame horns under the front end.
Yeah.
Watch that fender.
Okay, that's tight. Installing this front end involves a total of 22 mounting locations on the frame and the body.
Well, we've been waiting a long time to see this thing pieced all together. Man, what a badass looking shoebox.
Yeah, now that it is all together, guess what? It's all got to come apart.
We take the body all apart where you can paint all the door jambs and all the jambs on the car and everything. That's the only way you can get a really good paint job.
Okay, here at John Bohannon's shop, they've got the front end doors and deck lid off the body's off the chassis, and now they can start that long, arduous process of putting paint to the 55 shoebox.
It's all in the preparation before you paint it. Anybody can spray the paint just about. It's preparing the vehicle before you spray it.
And that means blocking and priming every inch of the car, starting with heavier grit sandpaper and working down. Notice how this craftsman uses 45-degree strokes, making a crosshatch pattern. This is the only way to get a smooth, even surface.
Joe, this deck lid has already been blocked and primed, and we're putting a guide coat on it now to where we can block it and see all the high and low places in it. They look straight till you start blocking, and then you can see a lot of places in them.
The blocking and primer process repeats 3, maybe 4 times before the door is ready for the paint booth. Now, John is using Viper Red PPG paint for the 55 SS, mixing it with thinner according to PPG's specs.
I'm going to put 2 cups of paint. And we're going to put 3 cups of thinner in.
While John gets the paint ready, his son Barry cleans and tacks the door's surface. Every surface gets 3 to 4 coats of paint, then 3 to 4 layers of clear coat before they can be considered finished. Well, nothing's duller than watching paint dry. We'll come back to the paint shop after this little break. There it is, one Viper Red door that still has to be sanded and buffed before it's as eye-grabbing red as this original Chevy. Now, why all this time and work to create a new version of the old shoebox? Well, if you're a fan of this classic, the only answer is why not? They didn't call them shoeboxes when they first hit the showroom floors, but they did rightly call the 1955 Chevy something new and excitingly different in automotive appearance and power.
The 1955 Chevrolet is completely redesigned and re-engineered to a new concept of motoring pleasure and performance.
This was a car that broke new ground in styling while breaking new records in sales. It was also the car that first featured a now classic power plant.
The new Turbo Fire V8 engine, most compact, most advanced power plant in the industry. 162 horsepower with new fire swirl combustion chambers and a full 8-to-1 compression ratio.
No doubt, the 1955 through 57 Chevys were cool and highly coveted during those early rock and roll years.
They were the fastest car around and the best looking car, and that's what everybody wanted.
Yeah, and everybody wanted one as fast as the 55 Harrison Ford's character drove in American Graffiti. In more recent years, the mesmerizing machines have been restored for car shows and cruising, where they always attract envious eyes. Others have been modified for racing, where they always get the crowd's attention. Here at Speed World in Orlando, a pair of nitro-sped 55s square off in a heads-up clash of true classics. And who could forget Tony Christie's famed Red 57? A badass Bel Air that made Pro Street history and drag strips all around the country. Yeah, the Chevy Shoebox legend lives on. And with the 55 SS, the legend leaps into a new chapter of high performance.
Horsepower TV's Quick Tech is brought to you by Wyotech.
No way to have a cool straight rod without a cool paint job, and the paint on both of these cars was applied by Gary Klotz, who's now passing on his knowledge to students at Wyotech. All the latest trends, including, well, marbleizing, which is a neat effect that's a little bit different each time you apply it. Well, I think a lot of people like that look, Gary, but is it because of the paint you use or the way you use it?
Well, it's a little of both. It's a slow drying intermediate coat applied over a black base and finished up with an intermediate clear. Being it is slow drying, it allows you time to manipulate the look you're trying to get with plastic or sometimes even foil.
Okay, well, do you have a project you're working on now?
Yeah, we're doing a Harley gas tank with a black insert with marbleizer over top.
Well, I say we follow him to the paint booth. Gary's already applied a yellow base coat and intermediate clear to this whole tank. Now he's laying down a fine tape outline of what will be the marble insert. To prevent any paint overspray, he applies masking tape to the part that stays yellow. Next, he applies wax and grease remover to get rid of any possible contaminants. Then, after tacking the entire area, He's ready to spray the black base coat to the insert area. After about 5 minutes of flash time, Gary can now lay down the intermediate coat of Marbleizer. The secret to Marbleizer is the flash time. And during the precious window of opportunity, you can apply the plastic sheet, work it in, peel it off, and reveal that unique textured look. After it's fully flashed, he applies another coat of intermediate clear to lock down the Marbleizer. Well, next, after laying down a computer-generated stencil, he sprays it with white base coat.
Okay, since our light source is going to be coming this way, we'll put a light shadow underneath here and underneath the top ring of the circle.
Next, Gary mixes up a dab of pearl.
It'll really make it jump and dance at you.
Finally, the painstaking task of peeling away the vinyl pieces of the logo.
And several hours later, can you believe that? That's incredible, Gary. Don't you hate to let this thing go?
Well, it's all mine until the customer pays for it.
Well, you got to be proud, though. A little marbleizing, a little airbrushing, and a lot of talent.
Here's something for you guys who tow your race car or show car with a diesel-powered truck. It's a boost and exhaust temperature gauge from Bully Dog that can both mount in this A-pillar pod. Now, the boost gauge reads up to 50 psi and comes with all your necessary hardware for an easy installation. The exhaust temperature gauge reads up to 1500 degrees and comes with its own pyrometer, which can mount in the turbo downpipe or the exhaust manifold. Now, you can get this whole setup for just over $300.
If you want to improve the performance of your daily driver, you might want to try some of this fuel system treatment from Protecta. It's got a formula that cleans your injectors, valves, and combustion chamber, plus a friction reducer that can improve your gas mileage 3 to 4%, which doesn't hurt with today's prices at the pump. They also have this treatment to protect your engine during extreme driving conditions, and this one to extend the life of your transmission.
We found a bright idea for the interior of your Sport Compact. Performance Import Trends has these new floor mats that are CNC machined from aluminum. They also come custom fit for several different applications and have a scratch-resistant powder-coated finish that won't rust. They won't corrode the bank either at $80 a set.
Well, finally, a product that resists corrosion in your radiator and helps reduce its temperature. It's Purple Ice from Royal Purple. Pouring one bottle in your cooling system will help it transfer heat more effectively and protect the components from pitting and erosion. Plus, it'll also lubricate the seals in your water pump, and well, that's pretty good insurance for around 11 bucks.
Well, that's it for Hot Parts, and that's it for us in the shop. We'll see you next week.
Good catch, by the way.